Hello crocheters, welcome to Crazy Cool Crochet. In today's project we are working on this crochet long oversized sweater, and this is super versatile. You can make this as long as you want. You can turn this into a sweater dress, and you can style it all different ways. You can make this without that big center pocket, and instead you can just use a wide leather belt. It's easily adjustable for different sizes. There's no multiple. This is a number 4. So in addition to the yarn, of course, we are going to need scissors, a measuring tape, a yarn needle, and 2 different size hooks. So I'm using an H or a 5mm for the body and a G or a 4.25mm for the ribbing. For size small, we're going to start with a chain of 130. Now we're going to start with a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So you're not counting the chain on the hook. So the one right below it, skip that one, enter a single crochet in the next chain. Chain 1. Now skip the next chain, enter a single crochet in the next chain. Chain 1, skip the next chain, single crochet in the next. Chain 1 and repeat. Now if you're making a larger size, just make sure that you start with a chain in an even number. When you get to the end of that foundation chain, you will have had 65 single crochets. Chain 2 and turn. Now this next row will be the pattern for the entire panel. So now you're going to enter a single crochet into the first space. Chain 1, single crochet into the next space, chain 1, single crochet into the next space. That's it. That's the pattern. Okay, at the end of the row, you'll enter number 64 into the space, the last visible space, easily visible space. To your chain, and now enter your single crochet into the turning chain. There is a space over there. It's hard to see, but you'll be able to feel it. Your hook will feel it. So there's your 2 chains. You want to make sure you're going under 2 chains. Do your single and then the 2 chains, turn, and repeat. So you'll just continue working for the length that you need. For a size small, I suggest about 30 inches. If you want to go longer, just keep right on creating more rows. Okay, this is where we are now. I've got the 2 panels done, and I'm going to attach at the shoulder and on the side seams. Oh, and it came out to be 98 rows. Okay, so now put the 2 panels together. Right side is inside, wrong side is out, and we're just going to use a yarn needle and a length of yarn and seam. Alright, you will want to put a stitch marker, and I just use a little piece of yarn at about 10.5 inches from the edge to the neck opening. Okay, so take your yarn needle, length of yarn, and you're just going to use a whip stitch. So enter into the corner of each panel. And again, I like to tie. So with the whip stitch, you just bring the needle under the 2 strands of those chains at the top. And that's it. So just go across until you come to your stitch marker and then tie it off. Then you will do the same method with the side seams. So for the side, this is the armhole opening, and it's more of a wrist opening. Okay, so you want to leave about 6 to 7 inch opening here. So seam from the bottom up. Well, that's how I usually do it. Try to match up your rows on either side until you get back to that stitch marker. Now let's work on the ribbing for the bottom, and I want this to be 6 inches wide. Okay, so now I started with a chain of 24 and then single crocheted in the second chain from the hook, which results in 23 single crochets. So at the end of that first row of single crochets, chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to be working in the back loop only of each single crochet. So insert the hook. You can see the little chains that forms at the top. So we'll be inserting the hook in between, in the center of that chain. So you're inserting the hook in the back loop. Okay, so we'll start with the first one, of course. Single crochet. And then in the back loop only of each single crochet across. When you get to the end of the row, chain 1, turn, and repeat. So you'll just be working row after row after row of back loop only single crochets. Okay, let me show you where we're at now. Here's the bottom ribbing and the top panels or the body. So each panel of the body is 30 inches wide, and then the ribbing all the way around is 52 inches long and 6 inches wide. Now we want to make the ribbing just a little bit smaller than the body, so that when we attach them, there's going to be just the teeniest bit of gathering along the bottom. So the gathering might look a little bit like that, just a little bit. And I did use a yarn needle to close up the seam. All right, now I've laid the panel. The neck is over here, and the bottom, of course, is over here. And you want to position the ribbing evenly. So as you can see, there's about 1.5 inches over there at the end, and then the same over on this side. And then when we do the gentle gathers, that will close that up. Okay, so now we're going to take the seam of the body. Here's the bottom, there's the seam. Take your yarn needle and thread, put that through. Now you do want to go ahead and go through 2 loops. So you are going in every space along the ribbing, and then every now and again you're going to skip over some chains along the bottom here on the body, and that will cause the gathering. So you can see it's starting to gather a tiny little bit right there. All right, now for the sleeve ribbing, let me show you what it is that we are working toward, so you can picture this as we're building it up. And this is going to be the ribbing. Okay, so we start at the bottom of the armhole, and I'll take you through the steps. I just want to show you what it looks like. And then we are building the ribbing this way. It's going around here and building it up. And we do have the garment right side facing you. As always, leave a tail so you can weave that in at the end. We're using the smaller hook still. We're going to insert the hook at the bottom of that armhole. Pull the yarn through, do a chain to lock it in. Now in the second chain from the hook, you're going to do a single crochet. So then just do a single crochet into each chain all the way down. Okay, after you enter the 26th single crochet, you will slip stitch into a space in that armhole opening, along that armhole opening. So slip stitch. Now turn this a little bit so that the row of single crochets is facing you. Now we're going to do a row of back loop only single crochets to start forming the ribbing and the ridge on the ribbing. So go into the back loop for a single crochet, along each single crochet across the row. When you get to the end of the row, chain one and turn, and then continue with another row of back loop only single crochets. When you're done with the 26th single crochet, once again slip stitch into the next space in that armhole opening. Twist this a little bit so you've got this facing you, and repeat what you just did. So single crochet, back loop only. When you get to the end, chain one, turn, single crochet across, back loop only, and then attach to the armhole with a slip stitch into the space. And you will do that all the way around. Okay, now we're coming up to the end of this armhole. Okay, so now at the end here, I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to close this up and to tie it off. And then from there, I'm going to turn this inside out and do the seaming to close up that sleeve. Okay, now you're working with the yarn needle, and we're going to seam the sleeve closed, going in the back loop, or the loop closest to you, I should say. And then 2 loops is fine on the other side, that's okay. Okay, so you're leaving that inside loop unworked. So just grab the loop closest to you and continue down the row into every chain. And that's it. Then you'll tie it off when you get to the end. Repeat on the other side, of course. Then you'll be able to work on the neck ribbing. And you can use the same method we just used on the sleeves. And it will be a lot shorter. Okay, so you'll be inserting the yarn into a seam, chain 1, and then do 5 chains. However deep you want the ribbing, you can adjust that to your preference. Okay, so just single crochet into the second chain from the hook, single crochet in each chain down, slip stitch into the base of the neck here, slip stitch, and then go back up that chain, up the single crochets, working exactly the way we just did. So you're working in the back loop only, single crochets, chain 1, turn, back loop only, single crochets, you're back at the neck, slip stitch, and just as before, eyeball it as you're coming around and adjust where you're entering your slip stitches. You know, you can skip every now and then, skip a space or 2, and then do your slip stitch. Okay, so this will be more or less a little bit of a mock turtleneck is going to be the end result of having that short little ribbing. Okay, now for the pocket. It's fairly quick and easy. We're doing the same pattern as for the body. So for this, for my size, the total width is going to be about 12.5 inches wide. And we are working this way. So you start with a chain of 30. And then, same as for the body, you're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then chain 1, skip a chain, single crochet in the next chain, chain 1, skip a chain. If this refreshes your memory, great. Otherwise, go back to the beginning of the video. But you're going to do the same thing. And you can make this for whatever length you want. Going this way, it's going to sit on the sweater this way. Okay, so your hands go in here. Okay, so get to whatever width you want, or length, depending on how you're looking at this. So of course, if you want this wider, then you're going to need to give yourself extra chains in the foundation chain. Start with an even number. Then when you get this to where you want it, we're going to do 4 rows of back loop only single crochets. So you're going to start your first row with all single crochets, and you should have 30. You're going into each space. So you'll have 30 single crochets, chain 1 turn, and then single crochet in the back loop only for a total of 4 rows. Now for the other side, it's going to be just a tad different because the end right here is different from the other side a little bit. So you're going to attach your hook, and this is the right side facing you. There's the tail from the foundation chain, so this is the right side. Okay, so you'll attach your yarn at the upper corner, and then, whoops, do a chain. Single crochet in the same space, that very first space there. And then you're going to single crochet, that's the space right there. But you're not going into the space itself, you're going into the chain right above it. Okay, so under the 2 strands that make up the chain, that's where you're putting the hook. Okay, so then the next stitch is going into the single crochet under your 2 strands. And then the next one is going, rather than in the space as you typically would, you're going into the chain, 2 strands, and then into the single crochet, and then into the chain. Now the reason I'm doing it this way is so that you don't have big gaping holes. If you go into the actual space, you're going to end up with a bigger hole, and we don't want that. Okay, so when you go all the way across, you should end up with 30 single crochets. Chain 1 turn, and then do your back loop only, single crochets in each space, chain 1 turn, back loop only, so for a total of 4 rows. Same as the other side, of course. And then we will attach this to the sweater. Okay, now before I proceed with the placement of the pockets, I want to ask that you give me a big old thumbs up on the bottom in the white space, and watch the video as much as you can. I mean, as long as you can. These things actually make a huge difference as far as YouTube promoting my videos, promoting my channel. And of course, I provide all of this for free to you guys. So I'm asking for your support. All right, so you want to determine the center of the pocket itself. And I don't know what's going on with the lighting here. And then find the center of the sweater. Mark where you want this on your body, on your sweater. We're going to use a yarn needle, yarn, and then all you're going to do is just use a whip stitch, front facing, just along the bottom and the top. Obviously, leave the sides open, that's where your hands are going. So just a little whip stitch. Once you get that done, you are good to go. So once again, thank you so much. Please subscribe. That's also helpful, obviously. And I appreciate you guys so much. We will see you on the next project. Thank you.